Hello everyone and welcome to the fourth day of Gi-Une. Today is Thursday and that means virtual product tasting day. On deck is a gin that was likely a staple in many households over the last 50 years. Right here with me, Beefeater London Dry Gin. Now before we get started, a couple of housekeeping aspects to keep in mind. If you're watching this video, you need to be the age of majority where you live. So for an example, I'm here in Ontario and you would need to be 19 years or older to enjoy adult beverage products. And so by extension of that, you should be 19 years or older if you're watching this video. If you're elsewhere, then please respect that age of majority for consumption of alcoholic beverages. Thank you for the follow nonetheless. Also, I think it's a good time to mention that all the product reviews and the postings that I'm doing throughout the month of June, my 30-day salute to gin during the month of June, all the product reviews, it's all being done independently. My company, Psalm for All, does offer representation services on a contract basis. However, I am not affiliated with any of the products that I'm showcasing or discussing here, nor am I paid for any of my comments or my insights or my reviews. So now that we've got all that out of the way, let's get back to today's product review of Beefeater. Now on the label, I don't know how well you can see that, but you may often see on these labels the words London Dry Gin. Anybody know what that means? I'll give you a couple of seconds to ponder that. Another 4, another 3, 2, 1. Okay. Pens down. 10 points if anyone said that it refers to a style and also a level of quality and not a geographical place. That means, you can have London dry gins that are produced not in England or anywhere near England. And that is the case worldwide with many gins. The term London dry in a bottle denotes the following. It ensures that the methanol byproduct of fermentation, so when products are fermented, you get ethanol, which is good, and you get methanol, which is bad. Methanol is toxic. So when you see London Dry in the label, it means that there is no methanol present in the final product. Why is that important? Well, in the 18th and 19th century, there were some, let's say, less than honest gin producers that left that methanol in the bottle. It smells exactly like ethanol. It tastes like ethanol. So they left it in as it was a cheaper way of producing the product. So that's one of the aspects of London Dry. The alcohol by volume that comes after distillation. So what we get in the bottle is usually a bit of a quote unquote watered down version. But what comes off that distillation needs to be 70% alcohol or higher. London Dry Gin cannot be colored in any way, shape, or form. So, although we're talking Beefeater today, there is another English gin that's out there that has a blue bottle. And when it came out, a lot of people thought the gin itself would be blue. And when they poured it out, of course, it was clear because it's a London Dry style. So no coloring agents, nothing. All the botanical flavor that's within the gin must be imparted through distillation. So you can't be adding extracts at the end of the process. And finally, and probably most importantly, or aside from the methanol, of course, the gin itself must be dry. And in the Psalm world, when we talk about dryness, that relates to alcohols and it relates to wine, we talk about the sweetness factor. London Dry Gin cannot have a sweetness level of more than 0.1 grams of sugar per liter. So there really isn't much sweetness at all in a London Dry Gin. It's what we mean by dry, it's dry on the palate. All right, back to the Beefeater itself. Beefeater's been a stalwart in gin production and dates back to early England, 1820, when James Burroughs started distilling in Chelsea. And currently it's presently owned by Pernod Ricard. Beefeater also lays claim to being the world's most awarded gin. In all honesty, I haven't had the opportunity to go through all of the awards that it's won to compare it against every other gin in the world, but let's take them at their word for that. Now you may be asking, why is it called Beefeater? And why is there an image of a dude in a red outfit on the label? Well, the name Beefeater refers to the yeoman warders who are the ceremonial guards of the Tower of London. And the image on the bottle there is meant to pay homage to them. As for why exactly this brigade was called Beefeaters, there's a little bit of a debate as to the origin of that. One of the schools of thought is that 150, 200 years ago, a foreign dignitary was having dinner in London and remarked on the portion size of meat that these guardsmen were being served and called them beefeaters because it was a little more than everybody else. The idea behind that apparently was, well, it boosted their stamina. That's one. The other school of thought that I've come across is that it has something to do with local dialect and phonetics and different words. So, whatever the true story is, beefeater is a term that was embraced by the human warders, and this bottle pays homage to them. Okay, now you know. So Beefeater itself proved to be so popular a gin that in 1958, the demand created the need to find a bigger location for their production. And they moved from Chelsea in 1958 to Kensington, which is currently where Beefeater is distilled. In 1963, Beefeater gin accounted for 3 out of every 4 bottles of gin that was being exported to the US and Canada. That's a telling stat. Now, I did mention in one of my other videos, my welcome video, that gin kind of petered off in the 60s and 70s in Canada. But prior to that, Beefeater was going strong, and the gins that were still being consumed, Beefeater was 3 out of the 4. So the Beefeater recipe itself has apparently remained virtually unchanged since the beginning, using 100% neutral grain spirit and 9 different botanicals that have been steeped in the spirit for 24 hours. Remember, I said earlier, London Dry means you have to have the product being distilled within the product. It can't be added after the fact. So Beefeater remains true to that. The 9 different botanicals that Beefeater claims to use: juniper, lemon peel, orange peel from Spain, Seville oranges from Spain apparently, almonds, angelica root, coriander seed, angelica seed, and orris root. We're going to dive into each of these a little bit later in the month of June, but those are all relatively popular and relatively common aspects within the gin making process. Okay. So the gin itself, we've talked history, we've talked a little bit about the name. Let's talk about the gin itself. Let's dive in. At first glance, we see it's clear, colorless. Quick little smell in the nose. We're seeing it's got a very clean smell, medium intensity of aroma. There's a little bit of a medicinal note there, so. Let's go in for a big sniff. So I'm getting what I think may be a little bit of corn, some cereal, some wheat notes, a bit of anise or licorice aromas, some herbaceous thyme, a little grass, juniper, of course. And when I say juniper, I'm talking pine, resin, within that aroma flavor profile. And then citrus, orange, lemon. Yeah, okay. So let's go in for a taste. So on the palate, cereal notes, that citrus, that lemon, that lime, orange, the peel, the pith a little bit. Juniper, that sprucey pine comes through. Licorice again, some spiciness, some warm spice, something on the tip of my tongue. It's a little spicy. I'm thinking maybe cumin or spice with some heat to it. And then there's some hoppy floral notes. Spread that all around. We coat the whole mouth, coat the tongue, just to make sure. It makes a lot of funny noises. And not only do I look cool doing it, but it also allows all the different flavor receptors in the tongue to pick up those 5 flavor zones, to pick up everything that it can. Okay, so that's about it for what I'm tasting. The mouthfeel itself, It's a little bit fat or viscous. Not overly thick, but there's a little body to it. It's a little sharp, and there's a warmth. There's a warmth that goes through the palate. Finish on the product, I'd say it's about a medium long finish, so it's about 30 seconds, kind of kicking around. And it's that citrus, that juniper, and that floral aspect that kind of lingers. Overall, good. Different aromas, different flavors, not overly complex. And that may be why it's one of the ones that we'll see often in bars, restaurants on the rail, or in home bars. It has mass appeal. It's not really going to offend anybody. Some interesting notes, but again, it's not over the top. So how and where can you get this now? Well, I'm in Ontario, so here for those folks watching that are in Ontario, you can find Beefeater very easily at the LCBO, the Liquor Control Board of Ontario. Stock number is 570, and this 750 milliliter bottle retails for $29.15. For my friends and family that are in La Belle Province in Quebec, the SAQ, Société des Alcools de Québec, stock number, funny enough, 570, much like the LCBO. However, the price a little bit better, $23.95 for the 750 milliliter bottle. So that's it. That's Beefeater. Important to start off with, I thought, the Italian gin, the Malfi that I did the other day, given the history of gin, and then go into Beefeater, which is a popular style, or popular gin in the style of London Dry. Because we're going to see that throughout the month of June. There's going to be other gins that are not English that are going to have that on there, so now everybody knows. Thank you very much for following today. I appreciate your time. Don't forget, on Friday, we're going to have our live cocktail hour on Facebook, at Somm for All on Facebook, going to be at 4 o'clock. Cocktail hour, let's say it's more like a cocktail 20 minutes. I'll be making cocktails live based on the Malfi con Rosa that I tasted the other day and the Beefeater London Dry tasted here today. I'll also be answering any gin-related questions live. So send me those questions in advance, by all means. You can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Facebook, you can find me on Twitter at Somm for All. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great day. Cheers, and we'll see you soon.